Okay. Here we are with Lesley Clarke. Lesley, another year of GPCME.
Oh yes,
and another year of NZMA.
Yeah, well, I get to do this twice a year, so I get to go to the Rotorua GPCME and the southern one, which is now the Christchurch one. So, but it's always good, and lots of faces and people that you know. So it's less about work and more about sort of catching up with people, which is great. Yeah,
and the Rotorua one's already been this year.
Yes, it has.
It has. And a good year for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every year we seem to get more registrations, which is a bit of a challenge because just trying to fit everyone in. So I think Chappie does a wonderful job.
Okay. Well, tell me about the role of NZMA. What do you guys do?
Right. So NZMA, which is the New Zealand Medical Association, is the professional organisation for doctors. So, and I think sometimes it's difficult. Well, not difficult, but people lose sight of the fact that they're actually part of a profession. I mean, it's quite obvious when you're at medical school because you're all in there together. And in those first couple of years after graduation, you're still that group of people going through their medical training. But when you get out, and particularly when you go into your various disciplines, you kind of concentrate on, I'm a GP, I'm a paediatrician, I'm an orthopaedic surgeon. And there's a risk there that you lose sight of the fact that you're part of a profession. The NZMA is your professional organisation. And in order for the profession to have voice, you need to be part of that organisation and support it. And we provide voice not just for doctors, but also their patients. So a big part of what we do is advocacy. And it's that advocacy for patients and the health of New Zealanders. And then it's the advocacy for doctors, which is a bit different from a union. Some people do think we're a union, but we're not.
I see. Okay, that's quite interesting. The advocacy, though, you guys cover quite a few different areas,
huge.
don't you? Yeah.
Oh my God! I mean, I've got a really small team, and I've got one policy manager, Sanji Gunasekara, and he is just a machine when it comes to actually producing these submissions, which are really important. We do about 60 submissions a year.
Is that right?
And they range from all sorts of things to Farm Act submissions to kind of primary care funding, to mental health issues, to big global issues like climate change and things like that. So it's quite massive. So we do a lot of that kind of reactive. So someone puts a consultation out or there's a new piece of legislation and we gather in the information from our members, which is sometimes quite broad. So you have to sort of synthesise all of that information and try and produce something that's kind of comprehensive and makes sense, but reflects the wider views of the membership. So we do that, but we also on occasion put out policy papers. Like we did a big policy paper in 2014 on obesity, and it was a range of recommendations, and it was recommendations for government, recommendations for society, and recommendations for doctors. How do we deal with this really big issue for the health of New Zealanders? And we've done another one on alcohol. Which is interesting because a lot of doctors are quite fond of a nice glass of wine. So we do keep that sort of thing in perspective. And this year what we're going to be working on is a position statement or policy briefing, as we call it, on health literacy. And that's actually really important because doctors can only do so much with patients. We need the patients to be able to understand their treatment and why it's important to carry that treatment through, and also to look after themselves and their family. And it sounds really basic. When you're kind of in the business of health, you know, we know what we need to do, but not all families do know what they need to do. And there's things that government and society and the medical profession can do to improve health literacy. So I'm really looking forward to that one. It's going to be a big piece of work, and among everything else that we do, but we'll get there.
That's a big personal interest of my own, is health literacy.
It's
amazing how much time you can spend with a patient and not realise that they don't actually understand anything that you're doing. I mean, I listened to Buzz Burrell's presentation this morning on asthma, and he said, look, it might be really embarrassing for you as a doctor to actually show someone how to use their inhaler. But he said if you do, you'll probably be shocked at how many don't know how to use their inhaler. And therefore you're prescribing something that is of no use. And you're also getting the patient into a false sense of security because they've got their inhaler, but they may not be using it properly. So it's all of those sort of things that are so important. And there's some recent research about people who you give scripts to and who don't actually fill in those scripts. And things like that.
And a lot of people think that it is about the cost. Now the cost is $5, and I know that that's a challenge for some families, but I think the other bit that comes into play is people don't realise how important that is. And we've always had an issue with antibiotics, not that we want everyone to be on antibiotics, because we've got this whole issue with resistance. But people go on antibiotics and start to feel better. And so they stop and they don't realise how important it is to actually finish. Although I do understand there's some new evidence coming out about that, but I'm not a clinician, so I can't.
Things are always changing, aren't they?
Totally, yeah.
Okay. And so NZMA, one of the things that you really wanted to focus on was medical students who are a part of the organisation. Once they become doctors, they're no longer a part of it. They have to sort of opt in, don't they?
They do. So, I mean, we keep them on as members, but we have to send them kind of reminder letters to say, look, your membership will lapse if you don't, re-sign up and pay your membership fee. I mean, what we've done is we've scaled the fee so that it's actually quite affordable. So for a new graduate, it's $90 a year. So that's like, 2 or 3 cups of coffee a month. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's about how people prioritise that. So we do try and make it easy for people. We can do direct debit. If you give us your bank account, we can just take the money out and you probably won't even notice it. Exactly. So there's ways of doing that. But the younger doctors are really important for us. And one of the things we've done, and probably in the last 10 years, is we've got what we call a Doctors in Training Advisory Council.
The DTIC.
That's exactly it. So we have the board, which is the board of directors, and then under that we have 3 advisory councils: doctors in training, general practice, and the specialists. And what their role is to look at things that are specific to their group, to their constituency, and make sure that the board is aware of those things. Works really well, and we've got some fabulous future leaders in there. And one of the things we're noticing is often the presidents of the Medical Students Association come through into the Doctors in Training Council.
So it's kind of like a really good
so
continuum,
they've kind of got that governance and that leadership role already there, and they want to continue that. And I hope that they continue those leadership roles right through their professional career, because it's really important, I think, for doctors to be leaders as well as clinicians.
That's good. Okay, so that's a really good organisation. It sounds like getting doctors in there. Why would you not be part of a profession?
Exactly. We just have to keep reminding people of that.
Exactly. Cool. It was really great talking to you today, Lesley.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Cool. Thank you.